to Life of Art. I'm Czaana Saxena. Thank you so much for joining. Today I have an amazing guest, Mr. Michael H Chua. Woo! So he is a Singaporean film producer, film director, actor, poet, and author. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, okay, so Mr. Michael, in 3 sentences, could you describe what you do?
Well, I write, produce, direct, and act in films and stage. Yeah.
Wow, okay. So when did you start off? Did you do it from very young?
Oh yeah, when I was 17, I joined the Singapore Polytechnic Welfare Services Club as a volunteer, and every weekend we go to the homes to help them, talk to them, and among the activities we have, we also sing, dance, and act for them.
Oh, wow.
So that's how I got started. But professionally, it was many years later that I was talent scouted out of the blue online.
Okay. So before you got into the film industry, you worked in technology, right? So
Yes.
how did you change? So first of all, how did you discover that you wanted to be in the film industry? And then how did you like change it?
Yeah, my situation is a strange one. I did not discover I want something different. It's
Okay.
just that somebody discovered me, and I was curious enough to enter the industry and give it a try. And the director was very generous with her compliments and suggested that I took up acting seriously, and I believe her. And at the moment, I didn't know any better. If she had said my acting was very bad, I would believe her as well. So I tried that and it works. And therein lies the importance of an honest positive to somebody. And
Yeah.
look where the honest positive have taken me in the next 12 years as a professional actor.
Okay, so you started off with acting and then you moved to directing and producing and everything?
Correct.
Okay. Um, what would you say is your favorite thing to do?
Well, favorite thing to do is, of course, acting because an actor's life is a lot easier than a
Oh, it is?
director,
Okay.
right? A director is multifaceted, highly visual, and he is responsible for so many things at one time.
Mm-hmm.
A producer, a line producer, that is, he has to be responsible for the logistics, time and sequence, and it's just so many things to be worried about in the real world. Whereas the actor is living in a life of fantasy.
Yeah.
On stage or on screen, outside you still have the real, but when the camera is on, you're living in fantasy.
So you think they have it easier than
If you know how to act.
yeah.
Obviously, some people don't have the aptitude to act, so they are very stiff for a very long time. They take years to learn. But for those with aptitude and perhaps training,
Yeah.
they it's better to be an actor. Life is different. It takes on different dimensions in the market. Uh, yeah. In some ways, when you get, especially when you get started, you're in the lowest rung of the food chain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How is your experience dealing with actors? Because if you, when you're directing or producing something, you have to deal with a lot of actors. How is that? Do you have to train them, or how does it work?
No, normally because you're spending time and money on something, you're not gonna get somebody who doesn't know how to do something.
Yeah.
So you have auditions. That's what auditions are for. You see whether they can make that great. Some people have a natural talent. They don't need to be going through schools and all that to learn acting. They just turn out and wow, what
Yeah.
what natural talent. So there are some people like that as well. So the bottom line is that they are able to deliver that part that you put them in.
Wait, so you said that you hold a lot of auditions, right? So what all do you look at? Do you solely look at them acting, or do you look at their backgrounds and things like that?
Oh yeah, good point. Some people can act very well, but you do look at their background. For instance, if I'm going to cast a very sweet, innocent girl, right, and she delivered that part very well, and then you search on social media and you look at the crazy things she does, the wild things she does, and all that. I'm
Yeah.
not judging, but then
Yeah,
for
yeah.
my purpose, for the production, I can't use somebody that the online persona is so wild and ridiculous, and some might even say promiscuous, and then you want to cast her as a sweet young thing, being very innocent. I think it's difficult to reconcile the two in today's world,
Yeah.
right?
I guess also if you say that the background of the person is very, mischievous and, wild and things like that, but she's able to act like a sweet, innocent person, it could also show how good of an actor she is, maybe?
That that is true. But then a film or a production is, sadly to say, has to have some commercial element.
Yeah,
It has
I
to be
get it. Yeah.
believable. You have to think about those people paying the tickets to see your show, right?
Yeah, yeah. And for auditions, right? So, okay, example, there's a script and people audition and say it's like about an angry child, you know? It's an angry child who's angry with his parents. Then do you also like ask them to do it with different kinds of emotions and things like that? Like do it as if you're, really sad or really happy or like something like that?
Yes, that doesn't happen on set. That
Okay.
happens during the audition.
Yeah.
During the audition is when you're gonna test whether she is directable, whether how stretchable are her talents and
Yeah.
emotions.
Okay.
So yeah, you will stretch her until a certain limit that you're comfortable with. Maybe she's not good at certain
Emotions.
extreme, but then it's okay. You may not use to that extreme. At least among the lot of them that you have auditioned, he or she is pretty good, and you think she'll serve the role in your production.
Yeah, okay. So you've had over 400, you've been involved in over 400 productions, right? So what is the production process?
Well, as a very general description, there's pre-production, production, and post-production.
Okay.
Pre-production, for a very good production, people should spend more time and money on pre-production. Unfortunately, it's not always the case. There's
Yeah.
rush to market and all that, and you can tell that the final product will be affected. And there's a joke in the industry during production. They'll say, okay, this one is a good take. Let's fix it in post. Right? Never fix it in post. Okay? Get it right the first time.
Wait, so post-production is like publicity? And
No, post production is when you do edit, coloring,
okay,
sound
yeah.
design,
Yeah.
etc., etc. Yeah.
Okay. So all of the filming and everything is during production.
Yes, production starts
Okay.
is that normally for a feature film in Singapore standards, maybe 28 days.
Uh-huh. Okay. And so you've had a lot of experience in the industry, right? What is the like worst experience you've ever had? Or the most difficult thing about it?
Really, the person that runs the show during production, pre-production, okay, producer will do all the juggling of resources and all that. But during production, the key person that runs the show well would be the director.
Okay.
And if a director is not really directing or really clueless about the visuals, and so on, and not being able to communicate well to everybody, and particularly to the actors, right? Then that is a terrible experience because the actors will be left in the lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I've spoken to you before, and then you said that you'd want to encourage people to come into the industry and get into arts, but it's not like a very easy or very straight path. So what do you mean by that?
Okay, I didn't really mean to say encourage because it depends on whether how passionate you are. It is a very difficult industry, particularly as an actor. First, if you are based in Singapore, the market is very small. The market is very young, but that has advantages as well. That means there isn't such rigid process and procedures to get through the back door or the side door and all that. So there's advantage as well. But it's a very tough industry because it's highly competitive. Yeah, highly competitive. There's no career path. It's not like something I sign here and that's it.
Yeah.
This year you'll use me as an extra. Next year with some feature. Next year have some lines. No, it's really a free form thing. And some people say it's down to luck, but I think it's a combination of preparation and recognizing opportunity, hard work.
Mm-hmm.
There's an element of luck. I can't explain luck. Yeah. If it can be explained, it wouldn't be called luck.
It wouldn't be called luck. It's luck which is why you can't explain it. Okay. So there is a lot of luck, right? And because there's so much luck, it becomes really unpredictable, I guess. So, okay, you worked in a relatively more predictable job before. Like you worked in tech and then you came to acting. So I know that you're passionate about it, but what made you decide like, okay, you know what? It's okay. I'm gonna take on the unpredictable and I'm gonna take the risk and things like that. Because it always seems easier to just go to, a
Yeah.
predictable job.
Well, I'm not that wise. I think the unfolding of events, one thing happened after another, suggested that there are opportunities for me to excel in acting.
Yeah.
And by the fifth film, it won the best film, best actor. It went viral, millions of people watching it.
Wow.
So it's something surreal at that time, something so new, and therefore has heightened my curiosity a lot to put in a lot of effort in it. So I check myself out every year to ask whether why am I still doing this.
Yeah.
So if I don't know why, then I should stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment, so far so good. Yeah.
So why are you usually doing this?
To me, it's telling stories through films.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that will make positive impact in society and people.
Okay, yeah. That reminds me. Are we allowed to talk about your new web series? The Soul. We're
Yeah.
allowed to talk about it. Okay, great. So, you have a new web series called Soul Collection Connection. Has it
So,
come out yet?
yeah. Soul Connection, it has been season 1 has been shot. It is in post production now.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it is. You see, at first I wanted to put it on TikTok, and as you know, TikTok, a 5 minute episode is super long, it's eternity.
Yeah.
So I planned it to be 1 minute,
Okay.
and then my camera person says that no, it's difficult to have all the visuals and do meaningful stuff unless you want to do dumb listicles. So as it happens now, I think it'll be 10 times 5 minute episodes.
Okay.
But still, from an artistic point of view, I find that now looking back, yeah, it can be done a lot more artistically, give a bit of time and so on.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
season 1 is done, yeah.
if it's rushed, like any form of art, if it's rushed, it wouldn't be at its best. But then also, you need to think about how it is. So what is Soul Connection about?
So connection is about bringing back the art of meaningful conversation, because I find that despite or maybe because of the many platforms, technology platforms for conversations, the quality of conversations have gone down. People don't
Yeah.
really talk about deep or serious stuff. It's all very high and by, that kind of, oh, it's
Yeah.
fabulous, awesome, isn't it? That kind of, it doesn't really mean anything. If you distill it down, you wasted your few seconds or 5 minutes of your breath. Life is not infinite, you know. I mean, you got to treasure
Yeah.
every minute that you spend. And I think we can always do better, because civilization and societies did better in the past when we only wrote letters.
Yeah.
So I write a letter, I read it, I revise it many times, and I put it in my drawer for at least 1-2 days. Then I bring it out and say, oh, does it still make sense? Oh yes.
Yeah.
Then I post it,
Then
and I
you
walk
post
to the
it.
post office and post it. So there's a lot of thought processes, and you really have to be sincere about it, because you're actually paying money, postage, to send that thing.
Yeah.
And now when everything is free and easy, I think the quality has dropped tremendously. Besides that, friends cancel each other by blocking each
Yeah.
other on the phone, and they think they solved the problem. Boyfriends and girlfriends break off through WhatsApp, and people divorce through SMS. Employers fire their employees through emails. I think
Yeah.
whenever we take out some of these face-to-face things, a piece of humanity is taken out.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I mean, technology has its pros and cons, but it's undeniable that one of the disadvantages is there's very few actual conversations, like face-to-face conversations.
Yes.
And because it's so accessible to just message online, then everything you message, you don't really think a lot before messaging, right? So, yeah.
Yes.
So that's what art is about, right? Conveying yourself, and you were able to convey the message that you wanted to film. So that's great. Yeah. Are you passionate about any other kind of art other than film?
I think writing. I like writing a lot. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You wrote a book called Made in Singapore, but like MAID instead of
Yeah.
MAD.
Correct.
And do you want to talk about it? Like, could you describe
Yeah.
it?
Made in Singapore is a collection of all the observations I have about the culture of almost 1 in 5 families having maids in Singapore.
Yeah.
And I've collected all those stories and put them into one story and a few characters. So it is about an impoverished Filipina escaping from a sleazy entertainment network by becoming a maid and working herself secretly to become an online celebrity until her cover was blown.
Yeah. And as soon as she's known to be a maid, then like
Yeah,
no
yeah. I
industry
think
would.
if you,
Yeah.
if you speak to some maids, and if you don't know them, right? You say on a Sunday, you don't know whether she's just a person basically. So you speak to
Yeah.
her normally, and at some point, you may be asking her like, "So what do you do?" And they'll try to hide the fact that they are maid. Oh, I'm working for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm freelance. I'm this and that. So they'll be very reluctant, and some of them even say that, "Okay, I'm a maid. So what?" You know.
Yeah. They're
And say, why are you angry? I'm asking if you are maid, you're maid.
yeah.
I have no judgment about maid. In fact, quite admirable of them to spend so much energy taking care of a family.
Yeah, they're overlooked a lot, which isn't
Yeah.
good. Okay. So I have a question. During COVID-19 impacted the arts industry. So how did it impact you and what changes did you have to make?
Okay. First of all, we were called, or we are still called non-essential workers.
Oh,
So that is quite yeah, quite depressing to hear that. But however, during the lockdown, if you notice, everybody is watching Netflix at some point, right?
yeah.
So they're actually consuming arts,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So why are we non-essential? Are we that non-essential? Right. Okay. If they have food to eat, which are essential elements and things to do, and if they don't have entertainment during the lockdown, will they go bonkers? Do they lose
Yeah.
their life? Right. So we are not that non-essential, I think. Uh, so it has impacted my life from the point of view that at one point for 2 months, no productions were allowed.
Okay.
So
Did you have to
in
like
one of,
stop midway?
sorry,
Did you have to like stop midway in a
yeah,
production?
yeah, it was just very troublesome.
Oh,
In my busy years, I have 60 productions a year,
oh
and
wow.
during that very worst COVID year, I think it's 2020, 2020, I think,
Yeah,
I have
2020.
about 6 productions a year.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I was very happy when IMDA very liberally and quite daringly allowed us to do productions. And that time, it was still quite dangerous. COVID was still quite dangerous. And they allowed us, and what the rules were ridiculous. Are like every actor need to have one makeup set. And for the crew, I really pity them. They have to clean all equipment before
Yeah,
and all equipment after.
yeah.
Packing up and taking them out was already quite tough, and they have to do that. And for actors, of course, you must, unless you're on camera.
Yeah, and there's no like work from home, you know? Like other occupations, they work from home. You can't work from home
Yeah,
to make
yeah.
a
There are
film.
some crazy productions that try to
Yeah,
to do Zoom kind of production and they
yeah.
stitch it together.
Yeah, I guess people because it was so new, right? Then people didn't know how to adapt to it because it was so unexpected. COVID was so unexpected, and so by the time people could actually learn how to, because there are a few productions which are like just one person in a house or one person films it by themselves. Like each actor films it by themselves. Things like that. But it's obviously easier to do it in person.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's making a production. You need to meet to make it. You know.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, and auditions would have also been online, right?
Sorry again?
Auditions would have also had to be online.
Yeah, because of COVID, auditions nowadays tend to be online
Yeah.
or tape auditions. Yeah.
And which ones do you prefer? In person or online?
I think live because not all scripts are well written, particularly audition scripts,
Yeah.
and the layer of that character is not, the layers are not well described. So you don't really know from that brief one-page audition script what kind of person or he or she
Yeah.
is. And of course, the casting agent or director will say that, no, you do your own interpretation, we are open. Not really open, because in the end, the director has a certain idea and visuals
Yeah.
about the story already. So if you send in your tape and you don't fall in his expectation, you're out. Sometimes you send in 2 or 3 variations, but your variations may not be that widely varied and may not fall within his expectations.
Yeah, because like I gave the example last time about a child who's angry with their parents. Even like if you were to do your own interpretations, it's just angry, frustrated, emotional things like that. It's not that big of a range, you know? Okay.
Yeah.
And as someone who is experienced in the industry, what advice would you give to aspiring artists?
Okay, check your passion.
Okay.
Know really that you want to be in it, because you cannot be in it for the vanity, and the fun is fine. I mean, it has to be fun, but if it's for the vanity, then your vanity would not be strong enough to hold you that long.
Yeah.
And if you are still afraid and slightly unsure, you can try it. If you are very young, you can try for 2 years and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then you measure your progress every month. Like, how are you doing? And what are you not doing right? What are things other people doing right?
Yeah. Okay.
So you adjust yourself as you go along. And try for 2 years. Yeah. I didn't have to do that. I don't know. Mine is a very different case where things just happen one after another. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not a very easy thing to get into. There's a lot of effort. And if I would ask you to give advice to the whole younger generation, would it be the same or would it be different?
It'll be the same. I think young people are young people. At a very young age, say 14 or 16, you tend not to know exactly what you want, which is fine because you're still exploring. And acting can be one of those things that you're exploring.
Yeah.
But go in with the true heart, then you can have a better chance of achieving something.
Okay. Yeah. And what would you tell yourself? You said when you were 17, you would go and sing and dance in front of people, like that's when it started. So is there anything you'd like to tell your 17-year-old self?
Not 17-year-old self, but thereafter maybe. I mean, when you're young, you do silly things, waste time and all that. But
Yeah.
I think that's part of the process. It'll be quite scary to see a young person totally efficient, totally wise, totally everything, right? I mean, quite scary, right? I mean,
Yeah.
being young, you do silly things and waste some time. So I think overall, I'm okay. I don't think I have to tell my younger self what I should have done or not done. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And last question, are there any questions you'd like me to ask you? Anything you'd like to say, you know?
Oh, wow, that's a tricky one. Question for a question. Can't think of any at the moment.
Okay. Okay. Okay, let me just ask you like one last question just for fun. What's the most mischievous thing you've ever done?
Well, escaping from classes when I was a kid. Yeah, we love escaping from classes. Back those days when schools were more rural and unstructured and
Yeah.
disorganized, we tend to run away from classes, and the teachers still didn't know that we ran away from classes. Yeah.
Oh wow. I don't think that's possible now.
No, it's more difficult now.
Yeah. Not that I suggest it.
Yeah, we ran away from classes. I think just to prove that we can beat the system.
Rebels. You're in your
Okay,
rebellious
I know a question you need to ask me.
Mm.
Would I rather get into the film industry as an actor at a very young age?
Oh yeah?
Right, that would be relevant, right?
Yeah, would you?
It's a hypothetical question, of course, but if I have gotten into the industry at a very young age, I wouldn't have experienced my other life living and traveling in 19 countries, 4 continents, right, for so many years, and experience the world of technology, the marvels of technology, partake in contributing to developing software and systems that aid the world in different ways.
Okay, yeah.
So, of course, if I gotten into it early, I'll probably be able to do younger roles and experience more in that sense, and have a longer runway to get myself to do bigger roles. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you got to, the good part about joining the industry after being in another industry is like you got more experiences, you know?
yeah,
If you
yeah.
had been in acting, like if someone starts off doing acting or like any other just one career and then they do it for a really, really long time, then they don't really get a lot of other experiences. So
Mm.
I guess, yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Are there any questions you have for me?
Uh, so, what are you gonna do after Sota?
I'm not completely sure yet.
see,
Probably,
see what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I mean, probably something in the arts industry or like linguistics, but I'm
Mm.
not sure exactly what yet. And I have a few more years to figure it out. So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Michael, for doing this.
Yeah,
And thank
okay.
you, everyone who's watching. I hope this has been helpful and this has been fun and you've learned something. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.